Okay, I'm going to share a little bit more personal experience, the aftermath of the apparent shift into no self or Brahman. Uh, Not sure if I've shifted at all, but we'll just see. I'll share with you what has happened. Yeah, I'm just sharing. I don't know what any of it means, but maybe you're having similar experiences. So that's why I'm doing this. So from my other videos, personal sharing videos, I had an apparent huge glimpse or shift into what is called no self conscious. It's not really consciousness. It's no self or Brahman. It's a state of where the individual self has been shattered and you are uh, living or experiencing, it's probably not the right word because the experiencer has died or dissolved, but your viewing, your perspective is prior to consciousness. And that's about as much as I can explain it to you. And the other videos talk about it more. So what I've been going through the last couple of months since that shift, I talked about before the emptiness. I was just empty, but at the same time feeling very full. And that's kind of shifted to feeling just empty, nothing. I mean, sure, if I can feel the fullness, but here's what's happened. I'm no longer feeling anything. And I've been guided to read particular books and just the right paragraphs and chapters to know that this is part of the purgation process, that the ego or the body, I don't know, the experiencer dies because there's no one here experiencing anything, and we have to, or I have to learn to detach myself from the addiction of having feeling experiences. So right now there's a lot of nothing going on, nothing. And I have been resisting that and just like, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? I feel nothing. And yet when I really kind of step back and get into the ground of being, that emptiness feels empty and full. It's a weird feeling that I can't explain, and it feels okay. And what I recognize is the ego experiencer is just clawing for experience. So there's going to be a time when you absolutely feel nothing. And that's a good thing because that's a part of you that needs to be cleaned out. Let's see, what else did I go through? I got, I really went through the trust and faith. Like, there's no helpers. This whole spiritual journey is baloney. I really kind of lost it with the spiritual journey and trusting life and faith. And this was in regards to health issues that just keep coming up. I really lost it, but got it back. Thank God. Really, let me tell you, there really are helpers. This spiritual journey, the spiritual invisible world does exist, but you will go through a crisis of faith that will really, really rock your world. And then I went through this weird phase of, we all have concepts of how we think this world works and what's going on in this world. And I had a pretty, although I'm not attached to it, generalized belief about what's going on this planet. Well, wow, that whole thing started crashing down, and I just felt like I was going like in this the spin cycle, we were going down. I simply didn't even know what was going on this planet. Every concept that made sense to me was starting to break down. I didn't know what to believe. What I really felt was right, what was going on this planet suddenly felt like totally wrong. And it just was the weirdest feeling. Okay. Why do the cats always show up when I'm doing it? I'm gonna have to put this on pause because he wants out. Okay, so where was I? I think people will watch these videos for the cat bombs. Where was I? So every structure and concept I had about what's happening on this planet, the whole spirit, everything started crumbling. And that really kind of freaked me out. It was like the rug was being pulled out from under me and I didn't know anything. And it so kind of messed me up for about a week that I had to like shut out what was going on outside of just what I could see in my environment, because I simply didn't know like where I was, what I was doing, etc. And so I recognize this now as the process of all of your concepts being dissolved. And this, from what I just read in the the book Dark Night of the Soul, St. John of the Cross, he talks right about this. This is the stage of purgation. If you haven't yet had a heart opening, which I have not, this is the stage of purgation where the mind starts. It's also being dissolved, cleaned up, purified. That's the word I'm looking for. Because mind has to be purified in order for the grand union with God, the heart opening. So this is the process that's happening within me, I suspect. So concepts are beginning to like crash down inside of me, and it's not that they go away completely. I think it's to like a test to see how you respond to it. How do you react? I did okay, so they're all kind of coming back, but there's no attachment to them. But also what's happening, and now the phone. Let me pause again. Well, I might take all these interruptions as a sign I shouldn't be doing this video, but I am going to press on. And I have a feeling the phone's going to ring again, so let's just go with it. So also what's happening is I've become like nutty about words and meanings, and that they have no meaning. Oh yeah, I went through that thing too. This word meaning and the meaning of life. Like suddenly everything had absolutely no meaning to me. That was nothing has meaning, everything has meaning, nothing has meaning. I was just going nutty. And then I'm now getting into this place where I can't even think to talk, to have a conversation. Questions are asked of me and I just can't seem to get it there. And I also can't seem to pull in words and think about really what I want to say. I mean, kind of superficial conversations like, hey, how are you doing? You can kind of go on autopilot, but anything beyond that, I just can't do it. And to be honest, just regular conversations are a little bit like, whoa, it's like my mind is being cleared out of words. I don't know. It's a strange feeling. Let's see, physically, I feel like this nothingness, and I have felt for the last couple of weeks, I've been very staying in the mental zone. Now that could be my personal astrological thing going on, because this for me, this time is a very kind of like dark time, and this is not the best time for me to make videos or do anything like that, but wow, what the heck. Gotta live dangerously. yeah, it's a really dark time for me personally on a Vedic astrology level. Um, but I've been very, very mental. And where was I going with that? But when I kind of here is one thing that I do kind of experience. It's not an experience. You know, when I say that this emptiness, the way I perceive the world is not through an experience or feeling anymore. It's a knowing. Anyway, so now when I kind of tune into my body, I get a little bit more grounded. The strangest things, it's like I'm seeing X-ray of myself. I start seeing all my organs, uh, ligaments, muscles. Very strange. And I probably wouldn't have said anything about this on video, except, of course, I read a book or saw a video where this is one of the things that happens. Some people have cognition of like others, like I did have cognition before when I was in that, had glimpses of unity consciousness where I could tune into the bird and be the bird and feel the birds and all the just know everything about it and its history, or even like the vase. Yeah, I got that. I think that was a very temporary, it was a glimpse. But this video or article said some people get cognition of others, and then some people have like X-ray visions within themselves. Is that not so strange? I mean, and this is referring to this Brahman or no self-consciousness. I don't know why that is. I'm just sharing, but it does happen. And as I'm walking around, going for a run or just walking around in general, it feels as if nothing's here. Like the air, the wind just blows right through me. So that is, I guess, an experience or how I feel about myself. What else? And it does kind of freak me out when I go to, because I'm so unsure about whether there's been an awakening here or a shift or not. I'm always like checking in to try to find myself, and there's no one here. And I know to some people that may sound really like strange. There is no one here. And I can't figure out who's looking. Like there's no one looking behind my eyes. And that's another thing when I kind of tune in. I can't tell the difference between external and internal. It's all the same. Okay, so I'm sharing that. Oh, yeah, I wanted to share. So I talked about before that other people say that when you, prior to shifting into this no self Brahman business, many people have death dreams or feel a death coming on. And I certainly had that death dream that I described to you. And in that dream, this is an important part, I saw myself as this character in that dream being killed off, okay? That's fine. Well, I had another death dream. This one was like just as real as the other one, but a completely different message or perspective. So it was very foretelling, and it made me feel so much better. Like something is really happening. Something has shifted in me. So I was on a plane, this big, beautiful plane, with about 5 other people. That plane was empty, and we were flying way above the clouds because I could see the clouds, or I could feel the clouds underneath the plane. So we were way up high. And there were about 5 of us. And here's the key thing. And I had to have somebody else, a teacher, reflect back to me what she was seeing, because I didn't quite get all the messages. In this dream, this death dream, it wasn't a character me that I saw there. In fact, I didn't see me at all. I was this invisible voyeur energy in this plane. And what I knew during the dream was these 5 other people were all aspects of ego. And this invisible me, which clearly must signify that I've made a shift of identification. You know, in that other dream, I was still identified as the person. And then I made this shift into no self, and that's reflected, my shift of identification shifted in this dream. I was just this invisible energy. And this invisible energy, I was seeing these 5 or maybe 6 aspects of ego, images, self, whatever, were still remaining. Anyway, this invisible me knew this plane was going to crash. Like some parachute, I don't know why it had parachutes, but the parachute apparatus that was going to, land the plane safely was not going to work. And I was totally okay. But this aspect of me who was like this dungaree? Kind of like Australian outback guy with his hat on and his vest and whatever, like a machete. He was like all trying to figure it out. How are we going to, how are we going to not die? We've got to save ourselves. And this little voice, just me, I said, you have to know we're all going to die. And I was okay with this. This invisible self was totally fine with this upcoming plane crash and death. And it just kind of that voice resonated with the other passengers. The other passengers were sitting over there, and they were all different ethnicities and I guess images, self identifications that maybe I've taken on. So I had the Australian outback guy that was trying to figure everything out, like my left brain, ego mind. And then there was the image. It was a lovely, kind, older Black woman that I knew immediately was a teacher, like your favorite English teacher in grammar school or something. So she is an identification or an image that I have taken on in my lifetime, and she has to die as well as these other guys. I don't know what they were doing, but they were just sitting there quietly in their seats. But anyway, the point of this, and the metaphor for this plane, I didn't know, I had to look it up, but I knew it was significant. So plane of consciousness, like how did I not get this? A very high plane of consciousness above the clouds. And I just read in the I Ching just today, filled in another gap, that clouds symbolize the ego. So this, whether my ego, my little mind doesn't believe I've had a shift or an awakening or not, it certainly seems as if something has happened based on the fact that my identification showing up in this dream was an invisible source, and above the ego in a high plane of consciousness. And please, I don't say that for any with pride or ego. I'm just sharing what the dream was trying to share back with me, because I'm in a real questioning kind of state. Anyway, it was really fascinating. I didn't need to stick around for the plane to crash, but I knew it was going to crash, and I was okay with dying. And this is also, I'm having to come, I think it was last week or the week before, face to face with death. And I don't mean physical death, but I suppose the ego interprets that way, that I had to let it go, that it's okay to die, to let this ego die. And I just read in 2 different books, or heard it twice this week, that people don't consider anyone to be awake, truly awake, until there's ego dissolution. So I would say I'm in the process of ego dissolution. So maybe I'm not even awake yet. Anyway, all these questions, but who really cares? Something is happening. There's definitely been a shift, but I think ego dissolution needs to happen a little bit more. I need to face death, let more concepts go, let go of my attachment to feeling, feeling. The body's so attached to its feeling senses. And that goes with food, sounds, being sensory delighted. Anyway, so all of these things have to purge a little bit more. And I'm hoping it happens this lifetime, that the next opening will be this heart opening and union, which will in return bring back that feeling of connection, hopefully some bliss or peace, or I have peace, but you know what I mean, kind of a more feeling sensation. I have yet to embody this no self. That just came to me. That's what's happening. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. All right, that's all I got for now. That's my current state of affairs. If I could just sit in silence all day, I think that'd be better. Okay. I hope that helps you out. Okay, till next time.